had so many requests for cards for the gentleman that I thought I would do this card for you for today's video. And just to show you what we'll be using, I have the Zoey die from the Frames and Tags. We're going to be using the center of that for our sentiment. The Tessa die to do a little bit of embossing. And I'm going to be creating frames with the Noble double pierced rectangles, set A and set B, both of those. And the sentiment itself comes from the Delightful Sentiment set. Pop these to the side, and we're going to be also using some gilding wax, and I'm going to bring in some coloring with the Walnut Stain Distress ink, and I've stamped my sentiment in the Potting Soil Archival. Okay, and I'm going to be using my Smoothies, which I just love these for our inking. So first thing I'm going to show you is the faux leather technique. Now, I've done most of this because it is a little bit time consuming, but it's very relaxing to do too. So I've just torn pieces of masking tape and I've put them onto a piece of card. Now I've used KRAFTCARD for this because it's a little bit sturdier. You can use anything scrap that you have, not a problem. So I'm just going to tear the masking tape in random shapes and add it overlapping off the edge of the card, twisting it and turning it a little bit. And if you get little pieces that kind of stick to themselves, that's not a problem either. It just kind of adds to the look. Tear off a few more. We'll just fill in this last little section here. Now, with any roll of masking tape you use, you've obviously got two straight sides there, so you kind of want to just keep turning it and overlapping it so it takes away that straightness to it as much as possible. You could do larger pieces if you prefer. I like them about small to medium size. I just like the way that looks, but you get a beautiful look with any of it, so it's totally your idea of what you like, you can do. And let's just do that little corner here. If you're a little bit caught for time, bigger pieces will work faster for you. There we go. Set that aside. Now what I would do is put this into my paper cutter and just trim an edge, but I will just nip this away with some scissors here. We're going to use a frame over the top of this, so it's probably not going to show. There we go. And I've done a little bit of a twist on this technique because it's almost always done just with some masking tape and inks, but I'm going to add in some gilding wax to it too, so you can do that as well. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is bring in my Tessa die, and I'm going to use the decorative centerpiece here. And we're just going to emboss into the faux leather here. Because you know how you can get that look of leather that's got just an emboss to it. It's quite pretty. So pop this in first. Just center that into the middle of that and a little bit of tape around it. And that is my embossing sandwich. I'm going to give that a quick run through. Okay. Peel my tape back up. Ooh, get underneath the edge there. Okay. So you can see you get a really nice emboss coming through with your die from that. Now I'll tell you what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go ahead and cut the center of this out, only because once you use your gilding wax on this, you really don't want to put your die on top of it because it'll get into your die, and although you can clean it, it's a little bit tricky. So I'm going to center this die into the middle of this and just remove the center of that so we can recess it down. Get that nice and straight there. Tape it in both places. Cut that out. Let's see if that cut through. Between the tape and the extra card, the thick craft card, we might need to pass it through twice. Let's just double check. Nope, we've got it. There we go. Okay. And we're going to use this piece as well. So, all right. So So on to the next step. Let me move all these out of my way. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just add a bit of gilding wax to this. So I've got Enchanted Gold and Cast Bronze. I'm going to go ahead and use the Enchanted Gold first, and I'm going to rub that around the edge of the background, outside of that embossed area, just to bring in a little bit of a shimmer to that. There we go. And the Enchanted Gold is one of my favorites. It's very subtle. So it's one of those things that doesn't quite overwhelm a card, but just adds a little bit of interest to it. Definitely a staple in my crafting arsenal. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to use the cast bronze in the center to really highlight that embossed area. There we go. You can see that coming up now. And it's just kind of a random, right over the top. I'm not being too particularly neat about keeping it within the design. It's just kind of a general area around that to pick that design up so it shows a little bit better. There we go, a little bit more there. Light touch all the way around. There we go. And let me just grab a Grime Boss, tidy up my finger so I don't get it everywhere, and dry kitchen roll there. And you can kind of give this a buff, and that'll bring the shine out even more. The other thing you can do is you can go back in with your walnut stain and just direct to the background here, just lightly go over the edge of that, and that'll pick up some of the edges of the masking tape and really give it an interesting look to it as well. Okay, definitely more masculine looking. And then finally, what I like to do with this is bring in a piece of copy paper and just emboss it with some clear embossing powder. Between the inks and the gilding wax, that should be wet enough to grab that nicely. And we'll just give it a nice little shine over the top. This is certainly optional. If you prefer a matte finish, you could do that. There we go. Takes a second to heat up, and then you can just see it melting into place there. There we go. Now, if you wanted this to be smoother, you could heat it from underneath, but it will take a bit to get through the card and the tape. It is easily done as well. There we go. Make sure I've got all the spots there. And let me tidy this out of our way. But like any crafting, it's there's not just one way to do something, so it's kind of your choice. What you like as far as the different look, it's totally your call. I think that looks really nice like that myself. Definitely has that masculine look to it. You've got a little bit of that ruggedness from the kind of orange peel look to the clear embossing powder on that, but I like that. I think that's nice. Do the same with the centerpiece. Now I've already gone ahead and done one, so I'll just go ahead and use that, but it's same exact method. A little bit of gilding wax, put your walnut stain over the top if you like, and then emboss it with the clear embossing powder. Okay, so I'm going to move these to the side, and let's move on. I'm going to do some frame cutting. So now I'm going to use both the A and the B set of the double pierced rectangles. We'll need our larger plates for this. And I'm going to go ahead and cut our bottom frame. And the nice thing about these dies are, because they're 1/8 of an inch apart, you can get really nice matte layers with them. You can still do that with one set, however, it's going to be a wider division between your mats. Pop that down. Ooh. There we go. And since most of that is not going to show, just the little bit of the edge, I'm not going to bother embossing this one. I'll just do the cutting part. You'll probably hear some cracking. Maybe. Oh, no, this one decided to behave. But that's just the die going into your cutting plate if you do hear that. Pop that off. go. Back into place. You've got a nice piece you can use for something else in the center there. Okay. So I've gone ahead and cut the bottom part of that frame, and the top part is just the larger, a little bit larger of the inside there. So I'm going to have the white from the bottom one show out from underneath it. So I'll end up with a frame that looks like that. And you can see that it's a very nice matte layer around that because I've used both sizes together, both the A and the B set. So let's move forward from there and we can pop this into place. So I've added some mounting foam to raise this background up. Oops, there we go. And I'm going to support it around the edge with a little bit more. And let's center that right in the middle of the card. That looks pretty good like that. Okay. I'm going to put the frame over the top of that so it'll catch the edges. And I've just done a bit of matting and layering with the mounting foam in between these so that they're raised. You can put them together if you prefer. I like the dimension myself, so I use a bit of mounting foam for that. And let's center that inside of our piercing. There we go. So that's ready to go. Now, I'm going to take this piece that I've cut out earlier and I'm just going to glue that flat into place. A little bit of Cosmic Shimmer glue around the edge should hold that nicely. I'm going to give that a second just to set up while I tidy up my workspace a little bit more for you. My little pieces out of the way. There we go. Okay, so pop that right back down into the original cut and recess it. And just lift the lip to make sure it's not caught on any of that. There we go. I've stamped a sentiment, "You're wonderful," and we'll go back and cut that out. And I'm going to use the inner oval here from the Zoey frame. There we go. That'll fit over that really nicely. Center that into place, so about like that. A little bit of tape on either side. Hold that in place. Let's move those. Give it a quick cut. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of inking before I remove that. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just a little cheat I like to do every once in a while. If you pop it onto a magnetic sheet, it tends to hold it into place a little bit better. And since my tape is over the edge there, let's do that. Bring in my walnut stain and a little smoothie. Don't need too much ink here. Go right over the edge there. Catch that. Just give it a nice little shadow. There we go. That looks good. And we'll pop these back onto our magnetic sheet. There we go. And add a bit of mounting foam to raise that up. There we go. Okay, just to finish that off right in the center, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Add a tiny bit of glue because we've got some product underneath that, the embossing powder and the gilding wax and whatnot. We want to make sure that stays nice and firmly attached there. There we have it. How easy is that? I think any man in your life would love to have a card like this. It just works perfectly for those guys out there. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video today, and look on our YouTube channel for all the other videos that are available.